is incumbent upon J.B. Pritzker and the mayor out of Chicago to tell these cartels, to tell these Mexican drug rings and criminal rings, not in our city. Get out. These are American law enforcement, and we will not stand by for this. But they continue not to just put politics ahead of public safety, but ahead of humanity.
Yes, Tricia McLaughlin, the Department of Homeland Security spokeswoman, and a lovely and wonderful spokeswoman of the Department of Homeland Security. She really is great. And hey, Chicago, the Democrat Party loves Venezuelan gangs. They don't love America or Chicago or Illinois or anything like that, but I had to pause for a little music action there. Let's dance. A very happy Wednesday to you, a very happy hump day to Bill Clinton, and not so much to Hillary Clinton. Got a different thing going on there altogether. And I have mailbag. It's the mailbag day here on the Chris Plante Show. Here are the mailbag questions. I'm waving by the microphone in the studio here. And it is my intention to get to the mailbag in this very hour, with our mailbag questions from our great listeners. I don't say we have the greatest, the best listeners in all of radio, but I could go ahead and say that, and it would be true enough, wouldn't it? It would be true enough. We have Jeff is on the phones today. He's nodding in agreement. He knows that we have the best listeners because every now and then a mental case calls in from someplace, and Democrats. We have lines are open to Democrats too, but it gets a little wacky out there. It does. Now we've got a lot of Democrat Party violence going on in the United States. It's a daily occurrence, and they're in cahoots with Hamas. They're in cahoots with Hamas in the Gaza in Israel. The genocidal Islamist death cult that is Hamas, and the Democrats have picked up the Hamas chants and the Hamas quotes from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free, and free Palestine, and there's no Palestine to free. The people that call themselves Palestinian people are Arabs, like any other Arabs in the area, and maybe their families have lived in what is Israel for a long period of time. They didn't make it into anything. It was just a filthy, disease-ridden, violent, criminal hellhole where everyone was shot to death. Hey, wait a minute! That's going on today too. I don't know if you saw that, because I want to get to that too. What's going on in Israel, where the savages are now murdering people? I talked about it a bit yesterday, and they've stepped up their efforts. They're gunning down people all over the Gaza and killing them, because that's what they do. And now the Democrats don't care at all about lives in Gaza. They don't care about Palestinian lives, so-called. They don't care about Arab lives. They don't care about human life, because they're the left. They love Chairman Mao. They wear T-shirts with Che Guevara on them. And Barack Obama loves Che Guevara and the Castro brothers. He's not on our side, at all. But I digress. So we've got the madness in the Hamas land, where the murders will continue. Hamas is not disarming, which is part of phase 2 of it. We get the ceasefire, then Hamas, you guys disarm. Okay, yeah, we'll do that. Knowing that they're lying, because they're like Democrats, and honestly, in Israel they've got Hamas. In the United States, we have the Democrats. Pretty much even Steven there, leveling the playing field. They are the ones firebombing the Jewish governor's mansion in Pennsylvania. They're the ones firebombing the pro-Israel marchers in Colorado. They're the ones terrorizing the Jewish students on campuses. They're the ones committing suicide attacks on the police. They're the ones that are self-immolating and killing themselves in a ball of fire, which is always a lot of fun. And we should see more of that, actually. I'd like to see perhaps more of the Democrats self-immolating. That is a problem taking care of itself. But we've got that going. And in Chicago, I want to get to what's going on in Chicago. And I'll get back to Israel, the Democrats, Hamas, what's the difference? We'll get to that. But in Chicago, the federal government, there's a lot of crime in Chicago. They have hundreds and hundreds of murders, and the Democrats are okay with that because they like murder. It's like, what's the line from Blazing Saddles? Because that's where the Democrats are today. Got the illegal aliens from gangs in Venezuela and gangs in El Salvador, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. So many Tren de Aragua Venezuelan gang members in the United States that we now abbreviate them as TDA. And the Democrats are fine with that. But you may remember the Democrats. They're wacky.
Qualifications.
Rape, murder, arson, and rape.
You said rape twice.
I like rape.
He'll do. That's where the Democrat Party is today. They love, Venezuelan gangs, Salvadoran gangs. They come in here. They said we had another one that was molesting a little child, illegal alien in the country. We've got the illegal aliens in Chicago crashing a car, maybe a stolen car. The news media doesn't seem too interested, but ramming their car into a Border Patrol vehicle in Chicago. Chicago is not a border city, by the way. Illinois is not a border state. Just in case you're a Democrat and have no idea what the geography of the United States is. But here's a headline from the Fox News station in Chicago. Illegal migrants ram Border Patrol vehicle during immigration operation in Chicago. And the Democrats, they're with the illegal aliens crashing the car into the Border Patrol. That is not an embellishment. That's not an exaggeration. That's not hyperbolic. That is the Democrat Party today. They are with the illegal alien gang members crashing what is probably a stolen car into a Border Patrol vehicle because the Democrat Party is the party of anarchy, of violent crime, of mob political violence, of suicide attacks, of self-immolation. The Democrat Party is mentally ill. So we've got that going. Now let me start this for us. Illegal immigrants arrested, that's plural, after ramming Border Patrol in Chicago amid violent clash with protesters. I think you can call them rioters at some. You know how the media never uses the word rioters because they see riots and rioters and they say, but they're Democrats. So let's use the most gentle language we can use. The mostly peaceful protests. A 15-year-old American citizen was also detained for 5 hours without contact with his family, attorneys said. I really don't care, let me assure you. Put him in a cell and bring the fire hose out on him. Let's start with that. And the story reads, 2 illegal migrants, that's illegal aliens, were taken into custody on Tuesday, that's yesterday, after crashing their vehicle, but whose vehicle was it really, into a Border Patrol vehicle in Chicago during an immigration enforcement operation, leading to a clash with protesters, you might expect, according to the Department of Homeland Security. Luis Gerardo Perella Ramirez and Yonder Enrique Tanife Perez, both of Venezuela, were detained Tuesday morning for allegedly, here's the videotape, for allegedly ramming a Border Patrol vehicle and attempting to flee the scene, which Democrats always do. They always ram the vehicle, then they attempt to flee the scene. That's what illegal alien gang members do, and that's what Democrats do. According to a senior DHS source, the incident happened near South Avenue, according to officials. It's actually South Avenue North, but, that's a geographic thing. The incident happened near South Avenue North, according to officials. This morning, while conducting an immigration enforcement operation in Chicago, a vehicle driven by an illegal alien rammed a Border Patrol vehicle and attempted to flee the scene, a DHS spokesperson said. Border Patrol pursued the vehicle and was eventually, I think it took a half an hour, able to stop it utilizing an authorized precision immobilization technique and a maneuver that they use. And also, I believe they use the spiky strips. Once the vehicle was stopped, the suspects, now plural, who are both illegal aliens in the country illegally because of Democrats, attempted to flee on foot. That's, you got to bring in helicopter gunships at that point. And as Border Patrol arrested the subjects and attempted to secure the scene, as a crowd began to form and eventually turned hostile, and eventually crowd control measures were used. That is tear gas. That's called tear gas. And they act like it's a nerve agent or something. But let's go to the NBC local news station in Chicago, Illinois. And one of the people they're talking to, they're interviewing a city official named Beatriz Ponce de Leon, a crusader who brutalized the poor, innocent people of color who were just throwing thousands of babies into a volcano to make the water better. But never mind that. So Beatriz Ponce de Leon, she is the deputy mayor for migrants and illegal aliens and all their rights. NBC. That's actually, I apologize. This is the Today Show, the national NBC, not the local NBC.
In Chicago, clashes on the streets getting heated. Homeland Security says federal officers faced a hostile crowd after an undocumented immigrant rammed a Border Patrol vehicle while trying to flee an immigration operation. After a pursuit, agents crashed into the vehicle to stop it and arrested the suspects when a crowd grew. Chicago police responded to the scene and say some people threw objects at federal agents who deployed tear gas, exposing some in the crowd, including 13 Chicago police officers.
This type of escalation is what is going to cause harm. It's not the people of Chicago, but it's the federal agents.
It's the latest flare-up during the Trump administration's so-called Operation Midway Blitz.
Now, that woman that we think it's a woman is not entirely clear because she's a Democrat. Or he's a Democrat, saying, oh, yeah, it's the cops that are causing the violence. They're enforcing the laws as passed by Congress, including Democrats, when we used to have Democrats and not communists. And they pass laws about immigration and our borders and things. And so that woman, Beatriz Ponce de Leon, is the deputy mayor in Chicago for migrant and illegal alien rights, something like that. And she's out there giving sound bites. Well, really, the problem is not the illegal aliens driving around in stolen cars doing donuts and crashing into the police. It's the fact that the police are there. That's the problem. Now, the Chicago ABC 7, the local station in Chicago, Illinois, the ABC people.
A cloud of tear gas enveloped residents and Chicago police officers just after 12:35 this afternoon. The culmination of a tense 2-hour standoff between dozens of immigration enforcement agents and people in the neighborhood. The impasse began shortly after Border Patrol agents riding in this white Expedition crashed into a red SUV. Surveillance video shows they had been chasing the red vehicle in circles around the neighborhood for around 30 minutes before the accident happened, right at the corner of Avenue N and 105th Street.
Avenue N and 105th Street. And the local station, I've got more from the local station coming up. And the Democrats say, well, if there were no police, then the illegal alien gang members, human traffickers, drug traffickers, child rapists, couldn't crash their stolen car into a federal law enforcement vehicle. So if the cops just left, and that's where the Democrat Party is in 2025. It's a criminal organization. They're I don't know if they're organized enough to be called organized crime, but they're just crime. You know, the big wireless companies have been pulling a nasty one over on all of us for ages now. It's time to make the switch to consumer cellular. I did, and I'm getting the same fast, reliable, nationwide, big wireless coverage, same towers, same transmitters, same networks, without the big wireless costs, however. It's not just about saving money on my bill every month, although that's real good. It's also about not being used and abused, taken for granted by the big cell phone companies that you've had for so many years. You know, you keep your number, it's all good. Do you even have any idea how much data you use every month? Probably not. Most people 50 years old and up use less than 8 gigs of data a month. I have no idea how much data I use. But the big wireless companies, they shove everybody into an unlimited data plan because they need to redistribute your wealth. It's like Obama phones to cover the cost of younger people that use 10 times as much data as you use. And if you're not using all that data, guess what? Bad news. You're the one being used by your cell phone carrier. When you've had enough of that, make the switch to Consumer Cellular. They set me up with a service and with an amazing phone. It's really easy to make the switch. You call, you talk to an actual human being, not a robot, based right here in the United States, not on a space platform. Real human beings that are actually helpful here in the U.S. And it only takes about 20 minutes to make the switch. So give them a call today and make your world a better world. Call 1-800-760-0702. That's 800-760-0702. Yes, sir. Yeah, wait till you hear the Democrats in Chicago. There's more. They're violent. They're anti-police. And they're elected officials. They're violent and they're anti-police also. That's still coming up. And then the jihadis. They're like Democrats in Israel. And they're still killing everybody. That's coming up. I have more audio out of Chicago, the violence, the madness, the illegal aliens crashing into federal agents. And wait till you hear what the governor had to say. Let's go to the telephones in the meantime, Michael. Let's go to Jerry calling from the great state of Illinois. Geraldo, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Mr. Chris, how are you, sir?
Hey, Jerry, I'm great. What do you know?
Oh, I'll tell you what, living in this mental state, I cannot wait to get out. But let me just put you up on something that you might not be aware of, but I'm sure you are, because we all know how illegal the mentals are. But what they do is when they bring illegals into Chicago, they generate chaos like they are right now. But what they're doing with the illegals is they're filtering them downstate into all the little towns and everything. And my friends, my family, we all see it. And that's what they always do. They filter them down. Nobody pays attention to anything in Illinois except for Chicago. And that's what we're left with. When it's all said and done, we're left with our communities with a bunch of illegals.
And it's not just the big cities. The TV crews are in the big cities in Chicago, New York. But the Democrats have been spreading. They brought in how many? 12 million, 20 million illegal aliens. Got to disperse them around the country. Drive up the number of people, population. Then they'll get more houses in Congress. They're very, very corrupt. Also in Chicago, this is another wacky story because there are Democrats everywhere. ABC 7 in Chicago, Illinois, and we were just playing audio from their TV news people as well. From their website, suspect steals ambulance with worker inside. Leads troopers on high-speed chase down Interstate 294. Now, Cook County, Illinois, WLS, the great WLS radio station in Chicago, is my station in Chicago, Illinois, the station I'm on in Chicago, Illinois. Great people there. I was talking to the wonderful morning show people today, which I do every Wednesday morning at WLS radio. But here it is, out of Cook County, Illinois, WLS. Someone who stole an ambulance with an employee in the back was taken down after a high-speed chase on Interstate 294 in Cook County Tuesday afternoon, Illinois State Police said. Democrats want to defund Illinois State Police. I told you yesterday that in the state of Oregon, the Democrats have seen to it that the taxpayers in the state of Oregon are spending more on health care for illegal aliens than they spend on the state police, on the entirety of the state police. Now, back to WLS in Chicago. The president and CEO of Lifeline Ambulance, in a statement, said the suspect stole the vehicle from a Niles parking lot as crew members had stepped away for lunch. They went to Portillo's for lunch. Niles police said the theft happened just before 4 p.m. in the Portillo's parking lot on Dempster Street. Isn't that amazing? While there was no patient inside the ambulance at the time, there was a crew member in the back of the ambulance when it was stolen by a Democrat. The employee in the back of the ambulance called 911 and said, "Hey, I'm in the back of an ambulance, and I was just, the ambulance was stolen by a Democrat. Maybe you guys should send some Republicans out here to restore law and order." And so the police responded. The ambulance was driving south on Interstate 294 from Dempster Street to Ogden Avenue, nearly 20 miles. And the thing is, there's great video of it because Channel 7 WLS has a helicopter, a news helicopter. We don't have those in Washington, D.C., so we don't get that stuff here. It was, their airspace is too restricted in Washington, D.C. So there's one news helicopter, but they can't come into Washington, D.C. or over Washington, D.C. It was driving erratically before police surrounded the vehicle. Video shows the ambulance was driving south on 294 north of Ogden when it got stuck in traffic, as you might. Chopper 7 was following the vehicle prior to hitting traffic. It had been cutting off other cars. And I looked at the video, 18-wheelers were pulling off to the side because an ambulance was coming up behind them. Little did they know it had been stolen, basically carjacked, and a man kidnapped in the back. They haven't said it's a man, but I think it's a man. Police set up strip spikes, disabling the tires and bringing the vehicle to a stop near Ogden Avenue. Just before 4:30 p.m., police surrounded the ambulance, drew guns, broke out the driver's side window before at least one person was pulled out. The suspect was taken into custody, and Niles police said he was taken to a local hospital for medical treatment. He's a Democrat. He's mentally ill. Probably has gender issues. You know, the employee trapped in the back, kidnapped by the Democrat, was uninjured, and he was rescued. They haven't said he or she, but I'm going to go ahead with he. Lifeline Ambulance credited the crew member for helping police stop and catch the suspect, bringing this wild chase to an end. Police were able to drive the ambulance off the highway and out of traffic, even though all the tires are flattened by the spike strips. The theft is under investigation. Police would only say that the perpetrator is a Democrat. That's all they could say for sure. Isn't that amazing? Oh, yeah, speaking of crime and Democrats, in Washington, D.C., you remember the guy, and it's a little coarse, it's not very polite, but there's a guy named Edward Korestein. Edward Korestein. He was known, he was on Doge, President Trump's Doge, Elon Musk's Doge, one of the young guys who was trying to make government more efficient while the Democrats tried to firebomb everything. And they called this guy Big Balls, and I don't call him that, but somebody does. So Edward Korestein, who goes by that nickname, he was attacked by a violent mob of Democrats on the sidewalks of Washington, D.C., the streets of Washington, D.C., just off of 14th Street, over by the restaurant that everybody goes to over there. And it was after midnight, and the young man was trying to protect his gal pal, his girlfriend, or a friend who is female, because she was being carjacked by a mob of Democrats who were all teenagers. And when Edward Korestein saw the violence taking place, he went and intervened. And you may remember that a gang of about a dozen teenagers beat him to a bloody pulp. And you've seen the pictures of him sitting on a curb in Washington, D.C. late at night, drenched in his own blood from his forehead down to his socks to his shoes. He's drenched in blood because he was beaten by this mob. And now, yesterday, we learn 2 15-year-olds who assaulted former Department of Government Efficiency staffer Edward Korestein were sentenced to probation in Washington, D.C. on Tuesday. A D.C. judge, who's a Democrat, gave the boy 12 months of probation. The girl pleaded guilty to simple assault and received 9 months of probation, according to WUSA Channel 9, the CBS station in Washington, D.C. The case stemmed from an August 3rd attack that drew national attention and became the flashpoint for a federal law enforcement surge in the nation's capital. It was one of several flashpoints, just by the way, all perpetrated by Democrats. So this young guy, here's the picture of him with his shirt off and his face, bloodied nose, and blood all over his face, his lip, his chin, his chest, his arms, his hands. He was wearing white pants and drenched in blood all over the place. And they got they're teenagers and mob violence late at night. It was 2 a.m. or something like that, and beat him to a pulp because there were a whole mob of them. And I think he's 20 years old, right? Actually, I'm sorry, 19 years old. Korstein, 19 years old. One-time Musk-aligned Doge hire, whose online persona spawned the Big Balls moniker, said he suffered a broken nose, a concussion when a group swarmed him. He tried to shield a woman, Constantine told Fox News. Case drew saturation coverage and became a proxy fight over juvenile justice in the Capitol. Of course, you may remember there was an adult who was an employee of the Department of Justice that attacked a federal agent and threw, remember that his Subway sandwich or whatever it was at the federal agent. And that guy, a jury in Washington, D.C., gave him nothing. He's supposed to be a Department of Justice employee. And the Democrats, they're fine with all this, aren't they? Yes, they are. They're the perpetrators of all these crimes. The Democrats are. Let's go back to ABC 7. I like number 11. Let's go with number 11 because they're interviewing people on the street. You got the violence. You got the illegal aliens crashing the car, which nobody's bothered to ask whether it's a stolen car since they're illegal aliens driving it. But Democrats do give illegal alien gang members driver's licenses so they can vote, which is illegal. But the Democrats do everything illegal. They study the legal code so they can learn all the laws they have to break. ABC 7.
Uber driver Eliseo Uribe was driving home when he tells us in Spanish, "The white SUV nearly hit me. I thought they were fighting, but I never imagined they were ICE." A Homeland Security statement today saying they were chasing the driver of the red SUV after he rammed them first, adding that once the vehicle was stopped, the suspects, who are both illegal aliens, attempted to flee on foot.
So the Uber driver, who's Spanish speaking, not a word of English, is just an Uber driver in Chicago. He doesn't know how to get anywhere, which is perfectly normal for Uber drivers everywhere, I think. But there it is, and ABC 7, they're on the story.
As Border Patrol arrested the subjects and attempted to secure the scene, a crowd began to form. And that is when tensions began rising bit by bit until some of the crowd threw eggs at the agents, then minutes later, rocks.
Then minutes later, see, they're Hamas. They're like Palestinians in Israel. They do all the same things. And was the Spanish-speaking Uber driver an illegal alien himself? Were the illegal aliens that were in the maybe stolen car, nobody's bothered to ask, crashing into? But the Spanish-speaking Uber driver said, well, yeah, the red car was crashing into the ICE vehicle first, and I think it was Customs and Border Protection, but that they don't differentiate. They don't speak the English language. They're Democrats. They're like that. ABC 7.
Deputy Mayor Beatriz Ponce de Leon, arriving in the aftermath, had this to say.
There's absolutely no reason to have this kind of chaos happening in our communities.
You're right.
Putting people at risk, putting people in harm's way, and just exacerbating the fear that people feel right now.
Exacerbating is a pretty big word for a woman as unintelligent as she is. And how did she pronounce her name?
Deputy Mayor Beatriz Ponce de Leon.
Beatriz Ponce de Leon, Muhammad Jihad, just amazing stuff. That is so she blames the police because they would enforce laws and what's her name? Beatriz Ponce de Leon. She is against enforcing the law. She is for anarchy, for murder, for carjacking. She is for crime. She's pro-crime. She's a Democrat. She's Deputy Mayor Beatriz Ponce de Leon. Yeah, Ponce de Leon. Her last name is Ponce de Leon. And they hate Ponce de Leon, a Spanish conquistador, with his stylish stance. Conquistador, your stylish stance. Don't sing. And then they've got a governor there, too. the always reliably corpulent J.B. Pritzker. And he's quite the piece of work, this guy. He's on the side of crime as well. He loves crime. He loves criminals because he is one of the bad guys. And in Washington, D.C., you got 15-year-old criminals, a little probation for carjacking. In the middle of a carjacking, beat up a White House official, beat him to a bloody pulp. News all over the country. Nothing for you. No penalty for you. Right? Isn't that amazing? Yes, it is. So the DHS, they put out a statement on the ramming of the federal law enforcement vehicle. Said this incident is not isolated and reflects a growing and dangerous trend of illegal aliens violently resisting arrest and agitators and criminals ramming cars into our law enforcement officers. And they know that. And the two illegal aliens that have been arrested, Yonder Enrique Tenerife Perez, and this guy looks like he should be in prison. If you saw him from a helicopter, you'd say there's a guy that belongs in prison. And then Luis Gerardo Perella Ramirez. They're both from Venezuela. They're illegal aliens from Venezuela. Doubtless Tren de Aragua gang members. And in Chicago, they're on the side of the Tren de Aragua gang members, the illegal aliens from Venezuela. And by the way, the Luis Gerardo Perella Ramirez, one of the two illegal aliens crashing the car into federal agents, was ordered removed from the United States by an immigration judge in August of 2024, in August of last year. That's, let's see, who was president then? Oh, yeah, Joe Biden was president then. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, patrol vehicle rammed before violent encounter with protesters. The Chicago police said that it was a bad situation and they crashing the car into federal agents. And the Chicago police said individuals then began throwing objects at the federal agents, at which point the federal agents deployed tear gas into the street. That's because of the riot that was going on. And the Democrats, they're against using tear gas during a riot because it's them, right? Isn't that amazing? And the crooked governor, who is just a dim-witted man, a very, very dim-witted man, his name is J.B. Pritzker. It's a good thing for him he inherited billions of somebody else's dollars because he never would have gone anywhere otherwise. Here is the statement from the Democrat governor of Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. ICE is recklessly throwing tear gas into our neighborhoods. Recklessly throwing tear gas into our neighborhoods. That's not happening. And busy streets, including near children at school. And CPD officers, Chicago Police Department officers. Wait a minute. They're the police, the Chicago police. They're tough. They're in the middle of a riot. And the Democrats are rioting. And the Democrats are attacking the federal police and the Chicago police. And here is the governor, the Democrat governor, accusing federal law enforcement, ICE, recklessly throwing, it's fired usually out of a gun, a tear gas a firing gun, a 40-millimeter thing, throwing tear gas into our neighborhoods. That's not what's happening. Busy streets, including children who are at school, and Chicago police. The Trump administration must stop their deployment of dangerous chemical weapons into the air of peaceful American communities. They're peaceful American communities. These are riots where the illegal aliens are crashing cars into federal agents. And the filthy, corpulent Democrat governor of Illinois says the Trump administration must stop their deployment of dangerous chemical weapons. It's tear gas. You should go in and breathe a bunch of it yourself there, chubby boy. Into the air of peaceful American communities in the middle of a riot. The Democrat brain it should be studied. Under some kind of a radioactive scanner.
This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly, but fires have been started.
Now, I mentioned yesterday that all the Smithsonian museums are closed because of Chuck Schumer in Washington, D.C. So you can't go to the National Zoo, I guess, which is outdoors. You think you could walk through. And all the museums closed. But my friend Chris just texted me. He said, one museum that's open and waiting for you to arrive is the Victims of Communism Museum in Washington, D.C., and they're at 915th Street in Washington. Victims of Communism Museum. And it's great stuff on, how the communists murdered 100 million people in the 20th century. That's great stuff. I've got much more and the mailbag coming up in the next hour. Right now, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Frank, calling from Ashburn, Virginia. Franklin, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for all you do, loving America, and enjoy your shows both in the day and at night. We're about the night in a minute, but I think it cannot be overstated how important it is to call out each and every one of their lies every day. They're destroying America with it, and I think a lot of conservative people just won't speak up about it. And I tell my kids all the time, when you hear that, you have to stop and you have to address it. Not to be cliche, but you got to be loud and proud about it. I think we could tamp a lot of this back if we call out the nonsense all the time. We're not doing that enough. It can't be overstated how important that is.
I agree 100%. I agree with you completely. And that's I try to do a lot of calling out the lies.
Oh, you're the best at it, Chris, for sure.
Oh, you're very kind. I do what I can. And you said there's one more thing you wanted to get to before I run out the clock on you.
Oh, yeah, I love your show at night. I'm on the road in the day, so I get you in the morning. And then, of course, late at night, I usually put your show on before bed. And just one comment, how to make the show better. Get rid of the libs. We don't need that. We hear that crap all the time. And it's unbelievable. They argue the indefensible. You talk about mental illness, there it is right there. How do you argue the indefensible? I mean, just like all this transgender stuff. They put it in our faces, just another Marxist ploy. Yell it down, get rid of it. You don't need that on your show.
I'm nodding in agreement. I'm nodding in silence. I didn't want to interrupt you. But Michael's nodding, saying, yeah, you were nodding. I was definitely nodding.